If you are thinking about looking at a new career or a new job, I'd love to give you some guidance. Stick around, we're going to use Oracle and Tarot cards to help give you some advice. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't met me, guys, I'm Leesa. I'm a certified tarot consultant, and my goal is to help you use the power of the tarot to make your life more amazing. And today we are focusing on a spread dealing with career and giving some basic career advice. So if you're thinking that some sort of change is needed for you, but you're trying to nail down, what your strengths are, what you might look for in a new job, or kind of what you need to be prepared for that, that is what we're going to tackle today. So if that is exciting for you, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button down below and stick around, because that's what we're going to jump into. So I have a couple parts to this video, guys. We're going to start out with an initial, the actual pick a card aspect to this. So we are going to choose one card out of this Oracle deck right here. So in just a minute, I'm going to ask for you to make a choice based on your intuition. So I would ask that you kind of slow your breathing, get yourself into, that good fuzzy head space. Okay, and that's really going to help you tap into that intuition. Okay, and then when we are done with that, guys, we'll jump into the tarot reading. And then at the end, I absolutely love this deck. I'm going to have one last bit of guidance for you to sort of send you on your way today. Okay. All right. So, guys, today I'm just simply looking at colors. Okay. We're looking at different colors. So, what I would like to do is just show you the different colors, and you decide which one of these colors is speaking to you today. The first color that I have is purple. Okay. So I just have these candles here to represent the colors, but we have purple here for card 1, green for reading number 2, and yellow for reading number 3. So go ahead and take a deep breath in and exhale, and go ahead and choose one of these colors. I'll be starting with purple. So if you chose that, just continue watching. If you chose green or yellow, you're going to want to skip ahead in the video. I will put that time down below. And by the way, guys, if you haven't given it a thumbs up, make sure you do that when you get down there. It really helps out the channel. All right, so if you chose purple, we are going to start with you. And the card that I pulled, guys, and this is from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. Okay, great. So we ended up getting actually the concept of the moon in Aquarius. And the key word here is independence. And one of the things, guys, about Aquarian energy is, it can be very analytical, it can be very logical, it can be very independent and sort of stepping outside the norm. And so what I would initially say for you when it comes to, taking a look at potential career or job options is, sometimes Aquarians, you can come up with some ideas that are a little bit unconventional. Sometimes, logically, you might talk yourself out of those things. Be careful that you don't do that. This is saying to you, hey, follow some of these ideas. Don't be too concerned necessarily about where they may lead, down the road. If your heart is speaking to you and your emotions are speaking to you, move with that. Okay, that's the first thing that I am getting. Okay, so we're going to take some time, guys, to take a look at some of the strengths that you have individually that you need to, or that you can, I guess, tap into when it comes to looking at a new career. Okay, so what types of things can you tap into? What types of things are going to be really helpful for you? Career or job, either or. But strengths that you can build on there. It's a couple of things that you might consider when it comes to looking at something new. So some areas that might be good options for you. Want to look at some of the obstacles that might be in your place just so that you are prepared and ready to prep for that. And then also, you know, that all important prep work, right? What do you need to do, you know, ahead of time, simply to make sure that, you know, what you're doing, you know, you're spending your time wisely. Okay. Excellent. So let's take a look at some of the strengths that you have that you can bring to the table. All right, interesting, because we're coming off of independence already right here. So, you know, one of the things that I see right off the bat with when the sun is reversed, guys, oftentimes you're talking about being cut off from things that sometimes are there to make life easier for you. So one of the first things I'm seeing for you is this idea of resilience. That ability to kind of pick yourself up when you're down, that idea to persevere, you know, even if things are tough and you're wondering, you know, hey, where did my support system go? Even if that support system is there, or I'm sorry, not there, kind of in the short term, I'm getting the sense that you have the ability really to move ahead and work forward even without it. Also getting the idea here, gosh, I'm seeing more of that perseverance concept, that idea, you know, that realistically, you were able to stick around and really, really see things through, you know, to the end, and be able to really, you know, wait for something to come around that might be the good thing for you, you know, be the right thing for you. So I would imagine during this, you know, job or career hunt, or this sort of brainstorming that you're doing, that you have that ability to kind of look and maybe wait from where you're at and just think about what types of things, you know, what types of things might actually be decent options for you. And then, of course, we have the Knave of Pentacles, or the Page of Pentacles in some decks. Interesting. Okay, so I'm seeing here for many of you that, you know, money is important, but you know, there is a driving force within you that's more than just money. So when you're looking for a new job or a new career, I'm seeing that, you know, you can be happy based on things outside of just monetary reward, which means, you know, for you, you know, you might find something that's fulfilling that doesn't even have anything to do with, you know, hey, I'm making a ton of money and so that's why I'm happy. It has to do potentially, you know, with other things. So let me see what we have here. Just a couple of career ideas. Well, you know, a lot of reverse cards here, guys. When I see that, it tells me oftentimes that things might take a little bit longer to come to fruition. So, you know, definitely keep that in mind as you're moving ahead. This may not be a super fast process. This might be something where you might have to consider things and work on them, and then, you know, it might take a little bit longer than you were expecting to sort of get moving. So one of the first things that I'm seeing as something potentially for you, and this is difficult, guys, because obviously this is a collective reading, so I can only be so specific. But the first thing that I'm seeing for some of you has to do with being potentially an assistant to someone, or I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of the name for that, like an apprenticeship. Okay, so an apprenticeship in a particular craft or a particular trade skill, actually for many of you I see could potentially be a really good option. For others of you, I'm seeing something where you are in a support position. And kind of one of the first things that sort of pops to my mind, you know, for example, if you have an executive assistant, the executive assistant is there to help, you know, the executive, right? So they're in a support position. So I would say look at support positions, or potentially at, you know, technical trades, you know, trade skills, that type of stuff where you can work your way up in kind of an apprenticeship type fashion. Another option for you, more reverses. Wow. I promise, guys, the whole deck is kind of both ways, right? So it's not that I just flipped it upside down. Okay, let's see here. Other option. Okay. All right, I'm getting a couple of different things here. Wow. Okay. Lots of options here. So I have, for some of you, and some of these were really specific and some of these are going to be more narrow. So I think it kind of depends on who's watching. one of the first things that kind of popped out to me has to do with those of you, and I'm not an expert in the medical field, so I apologize, but I'm seeing people that, for some of you, looking at things like, palliative care or, close to end of life care. Some of those things might be an option for you. The idea of maybe like a death doula, that type of stuff. For some of you, anything dealing with kind of end of life careers. So that is one thing that I'm seeing. Not all of you, but that was just something that was super, super specific. For others of you, I'm seeing, gosh, I don't know why some of these are coming up that are so specific. I'm seeing like life coaches or anything along those lines. But in general, I'm looking at counseling, anything where you can work with people that are working in an area of their life that's difficult and they need your assistance to work through it. Okay, so that's a more general kind of broad thing. Those first two were very, very specific. Okay, obstacles that you may end up coming across. Just kind of getting moving with this and trying to make connections. When it comes to finding a new job or a new career and making a career switch or a job switch, it's oftentimes about who, not just what you know, but who you know. And that looks like that could be a major obstacle for you to overcome. So think now about how you can make some networking connections or speak to people, within a particular area so that you can not only learn what you need to know to do well at that particular job or career option, but also be able to know the right people so that you can get your foot in the door. And guys, this is every single one of these is reversed, which is really remarkable. So preparations. So before you even make action one in regards to kind of external type of stuff, you need to get yourself figured out internally. Really sit down. I don't know if it means, taking an online career assessment or sitting down and just putting pen to paper or just really spending time and thought, where are you looking to go? What is important to you? What types of things are going to make you happy in the long term? What logically is needed for you in order for you to, really have something that's going to be successful for you in regards to your life situation, all of that. So that's going to be, one of the prep pieces that you really, really need to do. Otherwise, you risk sort of running around in circles. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing. I'm hoping that was useful for you. I have one more piece of advice. We're going to get to that at the end of the video, so jump ahead and I will see you there. All right, so for those of you that chose the green color, let's take a look at what we have for you. And I am using the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. So let's see what we get for you. Oh, interesting. Okay, guys, so we get the card that deals with Venus in Taurus, which you can see here the keyword is romance, but it's not just about romance. And oftentimes, guys, when it comes to more business dealings, it has more to do with things potentially in the arts or something that's going to be more artistic. Regardless if that is correct for you or not, I would say with the way that this card is presenting itself to me, just make sure that whatever you do is something that you feel like you can fall madly in love with the idea of working within a particular job or an industry. That's going to be the best thing for you. So keep that in mind. So guys, during this particular reading, what I want to do is just take a look and explore some of your career and job options. I want you to think about what are some of the strengths that you have as a person that might translate well into your career search or as you're looking for a new career. A couple of ideas that might sort of draw on some of those strengths and allow you to find something that's going to be a good fit for you. Also want to look at an obstacle that is coming your direction that you're going to want to tackle, and then prep work as well, that all important prep work that we want to have moving into something like this. So let's take a look at what we find here. All right. So let's start first by looking at some of the strengths that you have as an individual that is going to help you in your career search or job search and things that could help you in a potential job. All right, so first thing I'm seeing, guys, And once again, this is a collective reading, so some of the things I'm going to give you are going to be a bit broader. I might hit on a couple of really specific things that often happens, sort of depending on who, eventually watches this video, but I'm going to start here. So one of the first things I see for some of you, this idea of being really excellent with money or good with managing resources and time. For some of you, I see math, okay, like math being a really strong suit of yours. So that idea to be able to manage things appropriately, to keep track of stuff, to, likely be, good with money or good with resources. That could be time or just stuff, managing stuff for a business or a company. That is something I could see you definitely moving into. Okay, so death reversed. So many of you are dealing with or may end up dealing with jobs or have jobs that end up being fairly repetitive. Oftentimes you go into a job and you end up doing the same thing over and over and over again. Some people hate that. Some people can't handle that. This is indicating to me that for you, that's something that, you can just kind of get into a rhythm. You don't necessarily need to have something brand new to do every day. Going in, doing something fairly similar every day is something that, you can do and, you can work with. And so that really can be advantageous for you, and you might want to consider that. And then we have the Ace of Swords, which is reversed. So I'm seeing that you have the ability to function even in an environment that might be a bit chaotic, or one where, maybe not everything's lined up perfectly every day. So these are things that I'm seeing for you, that as you are considering jobs, think about how these things could potentially actually be really play into something for you. Okay. Now let's look at some potential job options. And like I said, these are things that, speaking to a broad group of people, I'm going to hit on a number of different things here. Okay, so with the Six of Cups reversed, I'm seeing things like therapy, family therapy, anything working with elderly. Okay, working with elderly patients, nursing. I'm seeing a lot of nursing here, but in general, the energy, if we want to get on a broader level, we're talking for me about the energy of investing your time into someone else and taking care of someone else. If we go outside of, say, the kind of taking care of someone in terms of, their personal health, this could even be like being the most amazing, salesperson ever and just taking care of your clients really well. But that idea of taking care of someone and focusing on them, think about jobs that will allow you to do that. But for many of you, I'm very, very clearly seeing nursing or working with the elderly for that one. Okay, let me see. Eight of Cups reversed. Very, okay. And I just got, okay, so I'm getting, for this, I'm sorry guys, I had a couple of things sort of come my direction. I'm seeing something dealing with transportation, and I'm not quite sure what that is exactly, but I'm seeing transportation really jumped out at me. So that could be, transporting goods to and from. It could be working in the transportation industry, but I'm seeing that for many of you, and that, I don't know, this idea of things kind of going back and forth or moving back and forth over a line. So think about that and how that might indicate something. For some of you, clearly, I'm seeing things, dealing with transporting stuff, taking stuff from point A to point B. So for many of you, it could be something, like, driving, like driving a truck, for example, would be a good, basic example of what that could look like. But really anything dealing with the transportation industry, even, anything dealing with roads or engineering in regards to that way. So there's a lot of options there, but that's just kind of yelling at me from that. All right, taking a look at obstacles. All right, so for you, be really, really aware of how you're spending your time and your focus when it comes to this, because you may end up getting distracted by things that ultimately actually end up not being good fits for you. So it's okay to explore and to look around and consider, but be really aware that you're not wasting your time on things that are not going to be good fits. Also in line with that, think about being mindful of the people that you're speaking with. Make sure that the people you're talking to are people that are going to, either network with you in a given area or get you more information. Don't waste time on things that are not going to be helpful, because you can end up burning out on this. So preparations. Now, okay, guys, we end up getting the Three of Swords. What you need to do is, and I know I said at the beginning, fall in love with whatever idea that you have, but it's also going to be really important that whatever idea you have ends up being realistic for your time and your situation. You do not want to get into a point where whatever you decide you want to do is not realistic for your life situation. You still have bills to pay. Many of you, have family or obligations that are going to have to be folded into whatever life you decide to lay out for yourself. So it's going to be really important that you follow your heart, but be logical enough that it's realistic and that you're not, becoming disillusioned down the line or putting yourself in a situation that's really painful down the line. Okay, so one last bit of guidance. I love this Oracle deck, so we're going to jump to this at the end of the video. I'll put the timestamp there, so go ahead and scoot, and I will see you there. All right, if you chose yellow, then this reading is for you. I'm using the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, guys, so let's see what we get just for the first bit of information. Interesting. So we get the card that represents Saturn in the sign of Gemini. And Gemini is a very communicative sign. But with Saturn in there, this idea of needing to show some caution or at least some restraint. And it's talking about concentration. So, it's saying a couple of things here. Number one, don't get overly distracted with the options that are out there, and I think that's good. Okay, so see what's out there, but don't get too distracted with stuff. And then also, there is this idea of being able to use your words and your communication to help you get what you need. So for you, the idea of networking and being networked well with people that can help you land a great job is going to be really important. But don't get too distracted. Don't spread things around too much. Make sure that you are finding some focus in your job or career hunt. So, okay, let's talk a little bit more about this particular spread, and then we'll cast the cards and see what we get. So we're going to start out first off, guys, looking at some of the strengths that you have as an individual that are really going to speak to how you can be successful in a future career or job opportunity for you. And then we're going to look at some ideas, some potential career ideas that you might want to kick around that might actually really connect well for you. We're going to look at some obstacles that you will very likely run into during this job search. And then we will take a look at some preparation that you are going to want to take as you are moving ahead. Okay. All right, I'll just put these over here. Okay, so let's start first by looking at some of the strengths that you have as an individual. And guys, just a reminder, this is a collective reading, so some of the things I'm going to have are going to be a bit more general, but I do oftentimes get some hits that are pretty specific. So just keep that in mind as we are moving through. So some strengths that you can really leverage as you're moving into looking for something new in terms of job or career. And the first thing that I get, guys, is the Ace of Wands. So when I see the Ace of Wands but reversed, there is this idea of this idea of being reflective and being careful before acting, and making sure that what you do is the right step forward. Okay, so that is something that you have the ability to do that could very well help you looking for, not only looking for another job, but being in another job. So think about what types of jobs or careers require that type of sort of analytical or logical or just careful thought before moving ahead into something. All right, have the Judgment card. Wow. Okay. So going on to back to this idea of reflecting, looking at Judgment is this idea of kind of reinventing yourself, or being willing or able to reinvent yourself, which is fantastic. So if you have the ability to reinvent yourself, or be willing to look at yourself in new or different ways, or be willing to kind of rewrite the script for yourself, I'm seeing that that is here, and that could be an excellent ability that you have that will go into another job, something where you can be very, very flexible. And then I'm also seeing the Nine of Cups here. Okay, so for many of you, just the idea of finding joy in a job that you have, or finding joy in your work. You know, not a lot of people have the ability to do that, but within you is that ability to really find happiness and joy with whatever it is that you're doing. Some people do not have very glamorous jobs, but they're still incredibly happy and find the joy in hard work or in doing those jobs anyway. This card's kind of funny. I'm working with the, what is it called? The tarot. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a tarot that basically shows the other side of the card. So I think it's funny that behind this table, there's a bunch of little kids here. So for some of you, it may honestly be, you know, working with children. Not everyone, but for some of you, it could be that that's something that you do well or have the ability to do. So let's take a look at some potential careers, or, you know, themes, energetic themes, and some potential career opportunities for you. Wow, I love the, I don't know if you can tell, but the purple that they use in this deck is just gorgeous. All right, so energetically, so we have the Three of Pentacles reversed. So I'm getting a couple of things here from this one. So for some of you, simply just being on the building things. Okay, for some of you, just very simply being there, writing up plans, or actually physically putting something together, making something, creating something. For many of you, that it could be a potential career path. I'm also seeing this idea of consulting, you know, being able to go into someone's work or business and being able to say, you know, here's how you should be doing this, and helping them kind of along the way. So for some of you, that idea of consulting could be a good option. I'm also seeing this, there is this energy, guys, just across this card that's coming across, just being a really strong, diligent worker. So that ability to sort of step into a position where you might be, you know, on a team, and every team member has to pull their own weight. I'm seeing that that is something that could actually be really strong for you, or beneficial for you. So being on a team, you know, working together to get something done, to create something, I guess is what I should say. So working on a team, so some sort of creative activity, or like I said, a consulting thing, or something with actually building, or, you know, taking parts and putting it together. Those are some of the themes I'm getting there. And like I said, guys, with it being collective, nailing something specific down is a bit more difficult. All right, Two of Swords reversed. So energy coming across here. So being anything, anything in the legal trade or legal profession is coming across. So that's everything from being a judge to being a lawyer to being a clerk. Anything, you know, in regards to the, you know, the legal profession is definitely there. I'm seeing anything dealing with the idea of mediation, being a mediator, or even a counselor, especially in areas like marriage, you know, marriage counselor, that type of stuff. You know, a life coach, anything where, you know, the energy kind of coming out from this card has to do with, you know, breaking stalemates, helping people to make decisions, coming across, or helping things to kind of move away from an impasse to something more moving quickly. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm seeing there. Let's take a look at some obstacles. All right, so one of the biggest obstacles that I'm seeing for you guys has to just do with the idea of emotions and what you're hoping to see. And for some of you, you know, you might be searching for something that is like the ultimate thing that's just going to make you 100% happy, or is just going to, you know, make your heart sing to the ends of the earth. And that can be really, really, really difficult to find, and not only difficult, but sometimes impractical. You know, what 95% of people do, day to day is not necessarily the thing that they would choose to do if they, didn't have to worry about money. So one of your biggest obstacles, is going to be to try to figure out, how can I balance my heart with the practicality needed in finding something new? So just keep that in mind. And then the preparation that you need to do moving into this simply has to do with preparing not only to be good at whatever job you're looking at, but once you make a decision, you need to start talking to the right people. And it's interesting because I saw this card come up in another reading as well. So for me, guys, and once again, going back to this card right here, work a lot on networking. It's not always about what you know. Oftentimes it's about who you know. So make sure you're networking with the right people, that you're reaching out to the right people, that your resume looks awesome, that everything's in line, and that you are letting people know that you are looking for something new, because the right job for you might come not from a job board or an application or something like that, but it might just be through word of mouth. So that would be what I would say would be your number one prep. Make sure that you're not only getting things together, but that your public face is really, really strong. All right, so one last reading for you. We're going to use this deck. Stick around, guys. I'm going to clear the table and we will jump right to it. All right, so we're going to do one last reading with the Spirit Animal Oracle deck. This is one of my favorite Oracle decks that I own. I know you can't feel it, but it feels great. It just feels good in the hands. So in just a second, guys, I'm going to pull one last bit of guidance. I would love to hear what type of career you're hoping to get into, or what you're thinking about, or if this had you kind of considering some things. I'd be really curious to know what you're considering. Go ahead and put that in the comments below. I'd love to find out a little bit more about that. See if anyone else is kind of in the same boat as you. Please give a thumbs up to this video if it was one that you enjoyed. It definitely helps me out. All right, but getting this last bit of guidance for us. And the card that we get, Antelope Spirit. Life is speeding up. So just a reminder, as you start looking at this, guys, looking for a new job or a career change or a career switch or anything along those lines is a very busy task. Okay, so it is a reminder for you to keep that in mind. Make sure you're setting aside time, time management in regards to looking for something new. But things could potentially move really quickly for you, or at least, you're going to be so busy doing this research or whatnot that it's going to feel like, life is moving quickly. Things are moving fast. Okay, or that you're very, very busy. So keep that in mind, sort of fold that into your plans as you're looking for something new. But I hope that this was really useful for you guys. I love doing these pick a card readings, and I'd love to hear how this impacted you. So be sure to let me know. And as I said before, this is a collective reading. It's a more general reading. If you would like to book something one-on-one, I would love to do a personal career reading for you. So hit me up on my website, and I will see you in the next video.